It was a warm spring morning in Atlanta, the kind where sunlight filters gently through trees, and the air carries the quiet hum of an unhurried city. Mothers pushed strollers. Retirees sipped lattes on sidewalk benches. Life moved forward in soft, deliberate steps. On the corner of Juniper and Pontolean stood the Eastbrook Women's Medical Center, a luxury clinic dressed in glass, marble, and the kind of silence only money could afford. Inside, cool air drifted over leather chairs and flower arrangements too perfect to be real. Outside the front doors, Danielle Carter paused, one hand on her belly, 6 months pregnant, the other tightening the strap on her well-used tote bag. She wore a soft blue maternity dress, clean and simple, hugging her figure with effortless grace. Her skin, a radiant deep brown, glowed in the morning light, but it also drew silent stares from passing couples who didn't meet her eyes. She whispered down to her baby, "Let's get this checkup done. Daddy'll be here soon." Her voice was calm, but her eyes kept glancing at the time. 10:16. Ethan was supposed to meet her by 10:30. He'd called that morning, caught in a last-minute situation at the U.S. District Office, but promised he'd come. And Ethan never broke a promise. Still, this was supposed to be their first 4D scan, a glimpse of the life they created together. And now, she was walking into this place alone. The automatic doors hissed open. Inside, the silence was heavier. The kind of quiet that doesn't just hush voices, it smothers them. A young blonde receptionist glanced up, then looked back down, pretending not to see Danielle at all. Danielle approached with polite confidence, the kind earned from years of being in spaces that made her prove she belonged. "Good morning. Danielle Carter. I have a 10:30 with Dr. Halbert." The receptionist blinked. Her gaze lingered, not overtly hostile, but far from welcoming. "Dr. Hallard?" she asked, mispronouncing the name like it was foreign. Danielle corrected her gently. "Halbert. It was confirmed over the phone last night." A pause. Then the woman shoved a clipboard toward her without a smile. "Fill this out." Danielle sat in the waiting area, pen poised, tried to ignore the whispers from across the room. Designer handbags clutched tighter. One woman shifted her purse closer, eyes flicking up and down Danielle's frame. A man across the room stared at the wall like she wasn't even human. She breathed slowly. "This is about the baby. You're here for your child." That be why the time her name was called. Her forms were filled with perfect penmanship, even though her hands trembled slightly. The nurse didn't greet her, just held a clipboard and walked ahead like Danielle was luggage. They passed halls of polished perfection, framed photos of glowing white mothers holding swaddled babies. Not one woman on the wall looked like Danielle. They reached room 3B. The nurse opened the door and gestured without a word. Danielle stepped in. The air smelled of antiseptic and lavender. A monitor blinked silently. The bed was too neat, too cold. She checked her phone. 10:44. Ethan was late. And then the door opened. Dr. Lindsay Halbert entered with sharp heels, a white coat, and a bun pulled so tight it looked painful. No smile, no greeting. She simply stared. "So, you're Danielle Carter?" she finally said, her voice like polished steel. Danielle sat up straighter. "Yes, we're doing the 4D scan today." Dr. Halbert's eyes raked over her. Not like a physician assessing a patient, but like a judge sizing up someone beneath her. "You came alone." Danielle nodded. "My husband had an emergency at work. He's on his way." A ghost of a smirk flickered. "Of course." Then came the poison. "Let me guess you don't know who the father is?" Or maybe he decided this morning he'd had enough responsibility. Typical. Danielle froze. "Excuse me." Dr. Halbert turned her back, shuffling papers, then looked over her shoulder with disdain. "This isn't some public clinic. This is a facility for mothers who care, not women who show up alone, looking like they came off a bus station bench." Danielle stood. "I scheduled this appointment. I confirmed it. I came here with respect." "You people are always respectful when you want something," the doctor hissed. "Then come the accusations and the drama." "Not today." Danielle felt her heart slam against her ribs. "I'm leaving," she said firmly. "Oh, you're not going anywhere." Dr. Halbert glanced around the room. "My Cartier watch. It was on that counter. Now it's gone." Danielle blinked. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying," the doctor snapped, "I've had enough charity cases walk in here and walk out with more than they came in with." She stormed out. Moments later, 2 security officers entered, both white, both emotionless. "Miss Carter," the older one began, "you've been identified as a person of interest in a theft report. You'll need to come with us." "I'm pregnant," Danielle said, voice trembling. "I haven't taken anything." "You can explain that downstairs," the younger one said, already stepping forward. "I want to call my husband." "You'll have your chance," the older officer muttered. They flanked her. She had no space to resist. She followed them into the staff-only corridors, down sterile hallways not meant for patients. Cold, isolated. The room they brought her to was small and dim. A desk, some old monitors, and a hard plastic chair bolted to the floor. "Sit." Danielle lowered herself slowly, her hand over her belly. "I need to call my husband." "Phone." "Now." The younger one snapped. She hesitated, then handed it over. He turned it off and locked it in a drawer. "You're not under arrest," the older one said. "But you're being detained." "For what?" she asked. "Where's the proof?" "I never touched her desk." "This isn't up for debate." Danielle stared at them, at the flickering light above, the blank walls, the absence of cameras. "This is wrong," she said quietly, voice filled with steel. "I came here to care for my baby. You don't get to treat me like a criminal." The younger officer smirked. "Lady, save the speech." She swallowed the scream rising in her throat. The baby shifted inside her. And then, at the front desk, the glass doors parted again. Ethan Carter stepped inside. Tailored charcoal suit. DOJ lapel pin gleaming in the sunlight. Calm, cold, unstoppable. He asked a single question, and when they hesitated to answer, when they stumbled over their lies, that's when the reckoning began. His frame was tall and composed, exuding a calm intensity honed over years of federal service. His dark mahogany skin stood out starkly against the sterile white of the waiting room, drawing glances, some cautious, others calculating. But Ethan didn't flinch. His gaze remained fixed ahead as he moved toward the front desk. The blonde receptionist looked up, her smile polite and automatic, until their eyes met. "Good morning," Ethan said evenly, his voice low but firm. "I'm looking for Danielle Carter. She had a 10:35 appointment with Dr. Halbert." "I'm her husband." Her fingers paused over the keyboard. One moment, sir. Let me check." Ethan's stare didn't budge. "Please do." She typed quickly, nervously. "It looks like she's not in the exam room anymore." A beat passed. Security was notified about a situation. "I don't have the details, but I think she's in the security office." "What situation?" His tone was steady, but the shift in its weight made her glance up, startled. There was a misunderstanding. I think Dr. Halbert, I need to see her. Now. Ethan leaned in slightly. No longer a request. Take me there. Or call someone who will. The receptionist stood, pale. I'll get the floor manager. No need. Ethan reached into his jacket and pulled out a sleek leather wallet. With practiced precision, he flipped it open, revealing a federal ID badge from the Department of Justice. Deputy Director, Office of Civil Rights Enforcement. Her breath caught that he let the badge linger for 4 long seconds, then slid it back into his pocket. Where is the security office? She swallowed. Down the corridor, past the staff elevators. First door on the left. Without another word, Ethan turned. His strides were sharp and sure. He didn't run, but every movement radiated urgency. Down the hallway, through a nondescript door, into the underbelly of the facility. Cut to security office door, slightly ajar, muffled voices inside. He pushed it open. Danielle sat in a metal chair, her hands resting protectively over her pregnant belly. Her face was tight with fear and fury. 2 officers looked up, startled. One young, one older. Can we help you? Yes, Ethan replied, stepping fully inside. You can start by explaining why my wife has been detained without cause, without counsel, and without access to her belongings. Danielle gasped. Ethan. He moved to her side, placing a hand gently on her shoulder. I'm here now. It's over. Then he turned to the officers. I want the name of the person who ordered her detainment, the report that justified it, and access to all surveillance footage involving my wife. Immediately, the younger officer took a step back. The older one tried to recover. We were just following protocol. Dr. Halbert reported a missing item, and you detained a pregnant woman without evidence? Ethan cut in. You're not trained in constitutional law. I am. You've already crossed the line into multiple violations. His badge reappeared. I'm invoking federal oversight. Delay 1 more minute, and this becomes obstruction. Tension froze the room. The older officer nodded and turned to the console, cueing security footage. Footage begins. Hallway view outside exam room. Timestamp. 10:41 Danielle enters alone. Calm. Respectful. She touches only the doorknob and SharePoint 10:52 a.m. Dr. Halbert exits the room, notices something missing, and walks away, visibly upset. There, Ethan said. Freeze it. Zoom in. A silver Cartier watch sat on a tray. Untouched. She left it behind, Danielle whispered, her voice shaking with disbelief. Keep going. Ethan said point 10:54 a.m. A janitor enters briefly. Doesn't touch the tray. Leaves, then the footage cuts out. Where's the rest? Ethan demanded. That's when the cleaning crew shifts. There's a blind spot during the handoff, the officer admitted. How convenient. Ethan's tone was silk over steel. He pulled open a drawer, retrieved Danielle's phone, and handed it back. She clutched it like lifeline. You detained my wife without due process. That's a civil rights violation. You denied her autonomy as a pregnant woman. Reckless endangerment. Expect a formal DOJ complaint. Prepare your statements. No one spoke. The weight of consequence suffocated the room. Danielle stood slowly, stronger now. I want to see that doctor again. Ethan nodded. Let's go. Scene. Elevator doors opened to the top floor. Every head turned. Not because Danielle had returned, but because of who walked beside her. Ethan Carter moved like a silent storm. Danielle walked just behind, taller than before, her dignity intact. A nervous administrator waited. Mr. and Mrs. Carter, Dr. Halbert is inside. The ethics board has been convened. Good, Ethan said. Let's begin. Glass conference room, sterile, silent, judgment thick in the air. Danielle sat across from Dr. Halbert, who still wore the mask of control, but her eyes betrayed her. Ethan remained standing, badge visible. We've reviewed the footage, the board chair began. Mr. Carter, you wish to file formal action? Ethan laid down a file, signed, time-stamped. My wife was falsely accused, illegally detained, denied communication, and humiliated. We have footage disproving the theft. We also have audio, racist, demeaning comments made by Dr. Halbert. Halbert scoffed. I followed protocol. I had reason to suspect. You had reason to assume, Ethan said coldly, based solely on her appearance, not her behavior, not the evidence. Danielle spoke now. Calm, clear. You looked at me and saw a problem. Not a teacher, not a wife, not a mother-to-be. You didn't even see a person. Halbert's face twisted. That's not what happened. You called me abandoned. Said I looked like I came from a bus station. You labeled me a thief before you spoke to me like a human being. The room stilled. Ethan stepped forward. This isn't just unethical. It's actionable. We're pursuing federal litigation. We also demand a public apology, institutional reform, mandatory bias training, and her immediate suspension. The board chair hesitated. We'll begin proceedings immediately. Halbert stood abruptly, her chair crashing behind her, and stormed out, and O1 followed. 2 weeks later, outside the clinic, press conference begins. Danielle stood behind a podium, flanked by Ethan and local civil rights leaders. Cameras rolled. Reporters listened. She spoke with calm fire. This isn't just about me. It's about every black woman who walks into a room and is treated as less. It's about the systems that let that happen, and our refusal to be silent anymore, that we deserve better. And we will not disappear to make you comfortable. The crowd didn't erupt. It resonated. A silent, heavy thunder of truth. Ethan stood beside her, proud, resolute. And as the clouds parted, Danielle looked down at her belly, at the new life within her, and smiled. Not because everything was fixed, but because something had finally begun.